Hello, Roger here, aka Tone Freaks. I wanted to do some analysis today of the US election, particularly the Electoral College. What I'm just going to do is put this window here so that I can see what I'm doing. And here you have the ABC News Electoral College map showing the result for the 2016 election. You can see Donald Trump won 304 Electoral College votes against Hillary Clinton's 227. And then you've got all the different states here. Now, if you click on California, for instance, if that had gone Republican, never will, but if it did, you can see that Donald Trump would basically go from losing to winning. So hold on, what we're doing here. Let's start over with new map. Here we are. Right. So Hillary Clinton had 227 and Donald Trump had 304. If we change that, that's interesting. It's changing the it to Biden automatically. Okay. So, right, let's just go back. Again, here we go. So, there's Obama versus Romney. And here's Clinton versus Trump. We might have a look at that one a bit later. So, that's that. Now, what I want to do now is go to Real Clear Politics. And this is the all the polling information on Real Clear Politics, which is quite a good source. They also have a good video feed as well. And so if you look up here, it's got the latest polls, national averages, battlegrounds average. So if we just look at the top battlegrounds, because we're going to have a look at this on this interactive map in a minute. Top battlegrounds, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, and Arizona. Okay, and you can see that in these top battlegrounds, they've got Biden 49, Trump 45, 45.7 plays 49.2, which is a 3.4 point lead for Biden. So we will bear those in mind. And where's right? Okay, and this here is the ABC News interactive map, okay, which shows the Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump outcome in 2016. So if we now, I'm just going to take this window out to my other window here, right, so that we can look at the battleground states. Right, here we are. This is the ABC News interactive map. And before we do that, I just wanted to show this. This is Nigel Farage on the Daily Telegraph YouTube channel. And let's just have a listen to what Nigel has to say.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is the single most resilient and bravest person I have ever met in my life. So reporting in from Arizona, I was here yesterday with a couple of senators
attended 4 public events, everything from a Mormon church to somewhere way out, a sort of tavern way out in the desert.
The globalist forces against Donald Trump means he has to win this election. He needs to win this election. And this is not just about who leads the USA. It is bigger and more fundamental than that. It's about who leads the free world.
Just to interject there, the part of the reason I'm making this video is what Nigel Farage says there is absolutely true. Donald Trump has been an obstacle over the last 4 years to the sorts of things that we're seeing being pushed with this great reset and Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum. I'm going to show some stuff on that in a second. But the reason the rest of the world is looking on, and any US citizens watching this, the reason we're all so interested is that Donald Trump has done us a great favor. I watched a video the other day sort of saying that Donald Trump's foreign policy had actually been some of the best that the US has actually executed ever really. And I think that's true too. But let's listen more what Nigel goes on to say.
What I can tell you, whilst this is one of those states that the Republicans absolutely have to win, there's been big demographic change, so there's been talk that Biden can take it. All I can tell you is the level of enthusiasm for Trump is absolutely off the charts. It's almost like a religious fervor.
We're proud of our nations. We won't surrender power again to global institutions. We want free speech. We want liberty. We should be able to say things that other people don't like. It's called freedom. It's what we're fighting for.
We're here today, a good year, in Arizona. Trump will be here soon. He's currently speaking just down the road. I mean, the guys at Cuban Dynamo, I got this right 4 years ago when I said Trump would win. Believe you me, he's got every chance.
Thank you, Nigel. That's something. Wow, I'm glad I called him up. I'm glad
Great one-liner from President Trump there. Glad I called him up. The full speech was quite a rousing speech. RT ran it saying that Nigel fawns over Donald Trump. Well, I think actually credit where credit's due. Donald Trump has been, in my opinion, one of the best presidents in my lifetime. He's certainly better than Bill Clinton, better than Obama, better than certainly George Bush the first and George Bush the second. Just on really things that matter. One, in terms of US foreign policy and not starting another new war, but also for Americans themselves. The American economy was brought out from underneath all of the damage done by NAFTA, North American Free Trade Area, etc. Obviously, there are still some reservations, but let's just get back to what I wanted to do here. Now, this is on Real Clear Politics, and this was Newt Gingrich actually saying that he thinks the race could be a lot closer and that the left is going to be terribly shocked. Left wing, right wing, I'm kind of not so convinced that those are such great handles to hang on debate. I think there's a little bit of left and a little bit of right in all of us. Rich and poor, them and us. Let's but what Gingrich does say here, he saw a map with Trump on 326 electoral college votes. Okay, so let's have a look at how he might get there. That would be more votes than he got in 2016, and as he's delivered so many of his promises. There was a fact check on the BBC of what promises Donald Trump had or hadn't delivered, which I looked at the other day, and he hasn't broken any, and has delivered on many, and many of the more important ones, which is something that Obama couldn't say. I mean, Obama broke more or less all his promises in his first term and did nothing in the second term. You know, just it's a fact. So anyway, let's just look at this map then. So I did have a map up of the right. So this is the result from 2016, and if we go back here, this is what's being predicted, the people's pick. So let's just go with this, and we'll start here. So this is showing a scenario where Joe Biden has 319 electoral college votes to Donald Trump's 219. So let's just look at the battleground states, starting with Florida. They've got Florida blue there. That's the first one. So you change that, and you can see Florida alone makes it a much closer race. The next one is Pennsylvania, and that's 20. So on that basis, it's almost a dead heat. And then Michigan, here's Michigan here. So with Michigan, okay, so with the first three battlegrounds, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, if Donald Trump wins in those, then it's a Donald Trump victory and a Joe Biden loss. Wisconsin is here. Then North Carolina, that's already shown as being red, so we won't change that one back. And then Arizona. So Arizona, that's where Nigel Farage was just speaking from. So on that basis, if Trump wins Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, where's Wisconsin gone? Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Arizona, okay, he's going to be more or less where he was against Hillary Clinton. Now, Gingrich is saying that he saw a map where Trump's got 326. So let's see. It's possible. Well, Nebraska here is shown as a tie. So if we just make Nebraska all red, that will get that up a bit. If Illinois went red, that would be 326. If Minnesota went red, it would be 316. So actually, I imagine that is the sort of map which Newt Gingrich is talking about. Perhaps Maine wouldn't be a tie if that was blue. If it was fully on red, 329. Anyway, that's how the Electoral College works. And Nigel Farage mentions the amount of enthusiasm there seems to be. Footage I've seen of Biden rallies compared to Donald Trump ones, there's no comparison. You'd want to be at the Trump party and not the Biden party, just on, you know, the fun quotient, as it were. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about then is this, which is a Twitter analysis of that 2016 campaign, showing how different influencers are working. Now, this is work by John Swain, a data scientist, and he also did a very good one of these on Brexit analysis, showing how different influencers work and interconnect, and you can look at traffic, etc. I haven't got one of these for 2020, but what I was interested in was these two analyses that he did. This is regarding during the Ebola outbreak, which was the last sort of pandemic in 2015 here, and I had a look at that because obviously we're supposed to be in the middle of another pandemic at the moment, and you can see what was happening back in 2015 on Twitter with who the influential people are. Now, there was one person that I noticed here that used to be at the CDC. Listed as being influential. The reason I found this interesting is obviously with the is because then if you look at this is basically on the World Economic Forum and Twitter thing, and this is in January 2016, and you can see here you've got Justin Trudeau here, David Cameron over here, Melinda Gates down here, Benjamin Netanyahu, John Kerry, and these sort of different influencer groups, and he calls them like tribes, and it's interesting to look. This one particularly because the World Economic Forum are very much involved in this pandemic response and this great reset idea, and obviously analysing all these people chatting amongst themselves. It's kind of like a massive amount of in-group bias going on. And obviously then with this Ebola outbreak, Hans Rosling was actually, he's a Swedish guy, he's dead now, a Swedish statistician that actually did some very good videos, but who was caught the eye of Bill Clinton, and obviously the Clinton Foundation, it's this guy here, look, Dr. Frieden of the CDC, and I mean, you can look at these things yourself, but it's an interesting way of looking at his Podesta. That's John Podesta up there. Podesta, 44th president of the United States. That's Barack Obama. So, and he was working for him. He figured quite a lot in the Pizzagate controversies that were around the last election. UNICEF, I mean, they've done some really ridiculous stuff about the COVID-19 outbreak. I saw I was on the tube in London, and there was a bunch of posters they'd done saying it's the most dangerous thing to children since the Second World War or something, which is patently nonsense. And then he analyses at the World Economic Forum different subjects that were being debated and who was talking and who the different influencers are. So let's just get back to our electoral map anyway, because I'm rambling a bit here anyway. Right, we're gonna. If Maine is split, Trump's on 326, and that would be Gingrich. That would have been a map. I think that's pretty. I'm pretty sure that would be the map which Gingrich would have been talking about. Now let's look at ABC News and their own thing. So the People's Pick is this, where they've got Maine and Nebraska being ties, and then in terms of the battleground states. Florida, they're saying Biden's going to win. Pennsylvania, they've got with Biden. Michigan, they've got with Biden. Wisconsin, they have got with Biden. North Carolina, they've left with Trump. And Arizona, they've got with Biden. Now, Nigel Farage has just been to Arizona. We've just seen him speak in Arizona. That's unlikely. Then Pennsylvania, comments about oil, fracking, etc. The tide has turned there, and Biden probably won't win in Pennsylvania. Michigan, Wisconsin. So let's assume, or let's just say that Wisconsin goes Trump, and where are we? He's got North Carolina there. We've done Arizona. So there, that's much closer, but still with Biden winning. And so if Michigan went Trump would win. If Maine is not a tie, Biden's still winning. If Nebraska is not a tie, Biden's still winning. So really, it's all coming down Minnesota or Michigan. Michigan and Trump's home. If he hasn't got that, or Wisconsin, he could still win Florida, and then that becomes a Trump win. So if you remember back to 2016, they usually do these television things with the touchscreen TV, sort of saying, oh, you know, routes to the White House. And they got very excited at one point, as Donald Trump clearly had opened up this thing. So there are various ways that this can now go. So take Florida off, put Wisconsin on and Michigan on, and Trump wins. Take Wisconsin away, he still wins, just without Florida. With Florida, it's a bigger win. With Florida, but without Arizona, still a Trump win. And so it goes on. Now, if it's close in some of these other places, Montana, it's only 3 electoral college. Wyoming, it's only 3. Utah, 6. So, you know, Texas would be a big one. If Trump didn't carry Texas, but had those other ones. But even if he didn't have Texas, if he had Wisconsin and Illinois, he would win. Or Minnesota, he would just win. I would be very surprised if he didn't win Texas. And then there you have it. On the electoral college vote, and with the general momentum, the polls, which are not very reliable, it has to be said. So let's just go back. Polls. Let's just do all election polls, just to sort of wrap up here. You see all the ones today, they've got Biden ahead, +5, +1, +8, +4, +5, +3, +3. Where's Rasmussen's from yesterday? It seems to have disappeared. How very odd. Let's just do this again. I don't know what's happening here. What's the election 2020? Right, no toss-up map. So on their no toss-up map, they've got this here. Biden 340 and Trump 198. Very hard to see that, but you can see they've got Arizona blue, Florida blue, Wisconsin blue, Michigan blue, Pennsylvania blue, and how likely it is that someone as discredited and unpopular as Joe Biden is going to win those states. You've got to say there's something seriously wrong here in terms of confirmation bias, or just out and out kidology, really. So no, top battlegrounds average. So here we are. So this is what I've been referring to. Florida, Biden's half a point in the lead. Pennsylvania 3.5 points ahead. Michigan 8.2. Wisconsin 6.4. North Carolina 0.7. Arizona 1.3. Apart from two of those, they'll all be within the margin of error. Michigan and Wisconsin won't be, but if we just game those ones out, Michigan, Wisconsin aren't within the margin of error, so let's take those two away, and Trump is still winning. Florida, if he loses Florida on that basis, Biden will win. But if Trump wins Arizona, he's back in the lead. So if he's got Arizona but not Florida, Biden is still winning. But if he's got either Michigan or Wisconsin and doesn't have Florida, Trump just squeaks it. If he's got Florida but not Arizona, he's still home dry. So these... You can see how Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Arizona, and how likely is it really that Trump is going to win both Arizona and Florida when you have Arizona within the margin of error and Florida within the margin of error. It could be close, but it could be far from close. And so just to get to the three that's 309. So to get 326, there's likely ones of all of those that could go. Nevada could go, I suppose. It would be Illinois or Minnesota. But either way, the way the Electoral College works, the ones that really to look out for are Arizona, Florida, Pennsylvania, and then Michigan and Wisconsin. One way or the other, both. So that Pennsylvania, North Carolina, so on the night, I think it's going to be very interesting, and by no means is it likely to be the shoe-in that people are presuming. And just to reinforce that point here, I've been having a look at some of right. Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta says he is nervous but hopeful about election on HNBC. Well, he's right to be nervous, and I think Donald Trump has the momentum. He certainly has the chops. I mean, he's a much more engaging speaker, and I mean, he just seems to me to be a more convincing candidate than Joe Biden. I mean, it's an arguable point whether Joe Biden is a worse candidate than Hillary Clinton, and she did set the bar awfully low. So I mean, she was an appalling candidate, and so it would be difficult for Joe Biden to be worse. But in some respects, he may be, especially as there's all this stuff coming out about Hunter Biden right now. So anyway, that's my 5 penneth worth. This is the ABC News interactive map. Let's just have a look at a few of the other. All right, 538 forecast. Let's have a look at this. I don't know what the 538 forecast is, but they've got Biden with 334. I mean, what they got here? Right. Okay, you can see lean, likely, solid. Lean, likely, solid. Right. Okay. So they've got Texas as a narrow win. Let's give that to the Donald. Arizona, we'll give that to the Donald. Florida, we'll give that to the Donald. North Carolina, we'll give that to the Donald too. Pennsylvania, I'd be very surprised if Pennsylvania doesn't vote for Trump with what's happened with the fracking. Iowa, we'll give that to the Donald as well. Now, what else have we got here? Maine, they've got that there. That was a toss-up last time. I'll tell you what, let's give that up there. Florida, we're going to put that over to President Trump. And Arizona, and bingo. There's so this that one, which was the, whatever they called it, the 545 special or whatever. If Nebraska goes full Donald, you can see how it, you know, how it can change. Georgia is a toss-up. They've got it as a toss-up. That to Donald as well. It's an interesting map because it does show with the shades of grey. Let's have a look at another one and have a little look at that. ABC News race ratings. Okay, so what have we got here? Wow. Now the thing about this is it's almost, if you dig into it and you see lean, likely, solid, and then you've got the toss-ups, okay? So Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia and Florida are all down as toss-ups, okay? So, right, fine. Let's take that as read, and then let's look at the so we'll fill in the lean ones. We'll fill in the lean ones. Lean ones. Okay. And then you've got the toss-up ones here. We'll just fill in that one. So, right. Now then. So if in the toss-up states, if the toss-up states go to President Trump, whoops, on this map, it's still a Joe Biden win. But if Arizona goes red and Pennsylvania, then Trump wins. But initially you look at that and Biden's there by an absolute streak, but that isn't that just isn't the case. Let's take another one and see how we go over there. So that's they're 2016, all blue, all red. And now let's just have a look at Obama Romney. Now, Romney wasn't a particularly charming candidate. I think Trump is a much better candidate than Mitt Romney ever was. But you can see the outcome here. Barack Obama, who clearly was a much better candidate, better campaigner than Biden or Clinton, Hillary Clinton, not Bill Clinton, who was very good on the stump. So let's have a look at how things may have changed. Well, Florida, okay, there's every chance that Donald Trump will win Florida. Pennsylvania, there's every chance that Donald Trump will win Pennsylvania. And then that leaves Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So let's say he wins Michigan, he wins. Let's say he wins Iowa, wouldn't have won. Maine still wouldn't win. Michigan would win. So you can see it's on a knife edge, isn't it? And Donald Trump is a better candidate than Joe Biden. There's no two ways about it. In the final debate, Donald Trump left Biden in the dust. I think, well, let's just try and find the Farage speech that was on RT. Not sure it's a grand, so let's have a look. Here we are.
People say one of the most powerful men in Europe, Nigel Farage.
I've got to say, 4 years ago, I was honoured to come to America to bring the Brexit message that you can beat the establishment. And that is what Donald Trump did. He beat the pollsters, he beat the media, he beat all the predictions. And here's the worst bit, they've never forgiven him for it. They've never, ever forgiven him. They have spent 4 years trying to delegitimize him. 4 years of the Russia hoax. 4 years of the false impeachment. Most human beings under that barrage would have given up. This is the single most resilient and bravest person I have ever met in my life. You are voting for the only current leader in the free world who has got the guts to stand up and fight for the nation state, to fight for patriotism, to fight against globalism. You'll be voting for the only leader in the Western world with the real courage to stand up to the Chinese Communist Party. You'll be voting for decency, plain speaking, and a man who in 4 years hasn't just cut your taxes, hasn't just improved the economy, but a man who right now is bringing Israel together with Arab nations in a way that nobody ever believed was possible. And that's what he's done. And I wish you Godspeed. I really do.
Wow, thank you.
They cut off the bit at the end there where he says, "I'm glad I gave him a call," which is such a great one-liner, I must say. So that's about it from me. I certainly will be.
Imagine how it would.
I certainly will be staying up to watch the election. I mean, there's less than a week to go now, and the media pretense and bias, eventually it gives out. I mean, I feel the same way as well about the pandemic, plandemic, epidemic, Contric-19, COVID-19. I think people are heartily sick of people twisting numbers and not being objective about things. I mean, I've just given an objective analysis of the Electoral College and routes for Donald Trump to the White House. The starting point on the ABC maps clearly, I think, set out to kind of colour people's idea about what is and isn't possible. But if you can click around on those things on your own, and you will soon find out that even with the figures as they stand currently, and I must say, deeply skeptical about the efficacy of quite a lot of polling. And they were wrong in 2016. I think they're wrong again this year. And I do think that Newt Gingrich is right, that President Donald Trump could win bigger this time than he did last time. And I, for one, I hope that he does. And the reasons are exactly the reasons that Nigel Farage just pointed out there. And they're also the same reasons where I'm now a firm Brexiteer, whereas at the time of the vote, I didn't vote and sat on the fence saying I didn't think it made any difference. What would make a difference to Brexit was whether Donald Trump got in. And the globalists have managed to stall Brexit and also frustrate Donald Trump from delivering all of his campaign promises from 2016 with all of the Russiagate, etc., and the false impeachment accusations, all of that undermining his valid democratic mandate. And that's also happened with the British establishment, who wanted Britain not to do Brexit. Now, of course, it's kind of turned around the other way now. And I suspect that things like continued lockdowns, masks, the overreaction, and also the by the backdoor agendas of the World Economic Forum for the Great Reset, the Green New Deal, all of that stuff, which people haven't voted for, haven't had a chance to vote about, except that in America right now, the electorate there does have a chance to vote about it. The British people were quite clear in 2 general elections since the Brexit vote that Brexit is what was required. Obviously, 10 Downing Street briefing that they're actually in favour of a Joe Biden win tells us rather a lot about the true colours of Mr. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister. And well, I for one will be keeping my fingers crossed and rooting for Donald Trump. Is it on the 3rd of November? I think it is. I really will be. And I must say, I do think he's done a good job. I don't care who sort of, that's my opinion. There are a couple of points along, like when he did the missile attacks on Syria, I wasn't very happy about that. But he's had a tough wicket, and he's played and looked after his wicket on behalf of the American people extremely well. And his non-interventionism abroad in terms of not starting any new sort of foreign wars for US dollar interests has been an absolute breath of fresh air. So well done, Donald Trump. And, you know, as Nigel Farage says, Godspeed, Donald Trump. God bless America. God bless you. And let's hope that you get 4 more years, and that you can, well, drain the swamp. I mean, I think the swamp wasn't drained perhaps as much as we would all have hoped, but there we are. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the swamp clearly was not capable of being drained in one term. So anyway, that's it from me. If anybody has watched this, thanks very much, and I've got that off my chest now.